Thank you so much for joining us on this special recognition event today. First of all, I just want to welcome Elder Shane Point from the Musqueam. Thank you so much, Elder Shane, for joining us here today, for sharing your wisdom and joining us in celebration as we recognise all the people of Providence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and a great privilege for me to be here today. Celebration is always of the utmost importance. In my community, pre-contact, and until this day, we celebrate many things. One of them is the accomplishments of our family members and community members. We have huge celebrations to lift them up. In our language, the word is sa'ast squallowing, to lift up the heart and the mind of our loved one and our respected one. We lift them up. The common word that everyone knows is the word potlatch. Potlatch means to celebrate. It's to redistribute one's wealth and to lift the community. The really wonderful picture that you see in the background is Siwash Rock. Our name for that rock is the good young man, or the good father, or the good husband. Our deity Cheops transformed that strong young man, that father, that husband, into this rock for men to recognize that our duty is to our wives and our children to protect and to provide for them. So this is a celebration rock. It's, some people might think, oh no, they changed that young man into a rock. Sad for him. Wonderful, because he's a reminder to us all that we need to be wonderful and good human beings. Celebration. Today, I was told that we're going to celebrate an individual who's been with Providence for 50 years. That is absolutely amazing to me. That's beautiful. That conviction is to be modeled by all of us. That purpose is to be modeled by all of us. That, wow, so awesome. So anyway, got carried away. Oh, see you when not sast squallowing Providence. Oh, 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 oh. My friends, my relatives, it's a great honor for me to sing that chant for you. In the chant, I'm asking the infinite and our collective ancestors to please come here and help us to celebrate the achievements of our family members, Providence family members, to help lift them up, to provide them with strength so that they can continue to do the great work that they do. Asking the infinite and our ancestors to as well engage us in Nutsamot. Nutsamot is a Coast Salish word that means we are one. We are one. As human beings, we are one. So asking for that, strengthening us in that truth, in that law, Nutsamot. Once again, great honor and a privilege for me to be here for a few moments with you. Congratulations to those who are going to be celebrated today. And hopefully next year, we will all get to be in the same room to celebrate and to have fun. Thank you very much. Providence, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder Shane. That was really beautiful, and I know we talked about the masks, and your song came across beautifully. So thank you. It's a big honour for us to host you here today, and we're really grateful. Thank you. I just want to acknowledge with gratitude that we're here on the traditional and unceded territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish and the Tsleil-Waututh peoples. We always remember that with gratitude. We realise that we work, live and play here, and that we work towards truth and reconciliation with all Indigenous peoples across Canada. So welcome to everyone who's watching, particularly the people who we're about to celebrate in terms of our long service staff and also our Mission Award recipients. I think we have all got more used to Zoom in the last year, but I'd like to echo Elder Shane in my deep, deep hope that by next year we will be able to do this again in person. This morning we're recognising over 1,000 staff who are receiving long service awards, and we are incredibly grateful for their commitment and dedication over so many years. And we're also celebrating 7 people who have won specific awards, and those are awards for inspired leadership, some really outstanding service, and we really want to celebrate those individuals and congratulate them on the recognition that they're receiving today. So I've only been here just over 3 years, so I definitely don't qualify for any of the long service awards. But I was thinking back, because it's kind of been an interesting 3 years, and thinking that when I arrived, there was lots of talk about, was a new St. Paul's ever really going to happen? And lots of people expressed to me the view that it was never going to happen. It was just a pipe dream. But certainly also the development of long-term care, in terms of that redevelopment, was also seen as just a dream. And of course, no one had any thoughts about any kind of global pandemic. So I've been reflecting a little bit on what we choose and what we don't choose in life. So in healthcare generally, we're lucky enough that we get to choose where we work. And I'm deeply grateful for everyone at Providence who has chosen to work at Providence and chosen to stay at Providence. You are the reason that this is a really special organisation. And everyone's reasons will be different for choosing Providence. And my choice to come across the world was because I saw an organisation that was genuinely committed to compassion, innovation, and social justice. An organisation that didn't always get it right, that was absolutely not perfect, but had the humility to say so, and to tell the truth, to tell truth to power, and an organisation that was disruptive and innovative. And I really clearly remember my first few days here, when honestly I was kind of still even a little bit jet lagged, but certainly just overwhelmed by a new organisation, a new culture, a new continent and a country. I remember that the Indigenous Wellness team invited me, and I participated in a blanket ceremony, and I was given a blanket which I absolutely still have and treasure, and that was a very important welcoming thing to me in the organisation. And then I remember other things that I didn't choose. I didn't choose to have to come to the emergency department a year later, feeling really, really unwell. But I remember one of the things that happened to me there was that I was really nicely looked after, and the team put a warmed blanket around me, and that feeling of being looked after somewhere where I felt a long way from home was very, very powerful to me. I'm also conscious that none of us chose to live through a global pandemic, and how daunting and scary it has been to live through it, let alone to work in healthcare through it. But many of the recipients of the Long Service Awards today would help us take the long view on this, would remind us that it's not the first major challenge that Providence staff have faced, be that the 1919 flu pandemic, HIV/AIDS, of course, the ongoing opioid overdose health emergency, and it won't be the last. And I do believe that what defines us in life is not what happens to us, but how we respond. And the award recipients today are people who've been recognised by their peers and their organisation for their leadership, their innovative approach, and their determination to focus on patients above all. And today is about celebrating, and it's I just want to kind of reiterate the beautiful words that Elder Shane said in terms of the celebration of the strength and resilience of the people of Providence, the staff, the medical staff, the volunteers, patients and residents, what we do and what we continue to do. So we're honouring many people who've undertaken some high-profile leadership positions in the past year, and those individuals are incredibly deserving of their awards. But some people on this call might be thinking, well, that's not me. I just did my job. But just doing your job, when you do it with grace, with compassion, with conviction, that's an amazing gift. And we're really grateful to have you all as part of the Providence family. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I'm going to hand over now to Christopher and Melody, who are getting on with the exciting and interesting bits. Thank you.
Well, hello, Melody.
Well, hello. Fancy meeting you here.
Fancy meeting you here on live stream celebrations.
Yes.
And I just kind of wish we could be in a big room celebrating Long Service Awards and Mission Awards. You look glamorous.
Well, likewise, it's the second time through the whole pandemic I've had to get dressed up and actually put earrings in and do my makeup. Someone actually saw me in the office and said, "Whoa, what happened to you?" So this is really exciting. So exciting
I've
to be
actually
here.
forgotten how to put a tie on. So I hope that looks okay.
It looks wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
All right. We should start in a good way with a formal introduction. Did you want to just tell our wonderful staff who are watching and friends who you are, Melody?
Yes, I'm so honored to be here. My name is Melody Young. I'm the Regional Manager for Culture and Communications with Health Information Management. I'm also a part of the PHC Long Service Committee, and I'm just thrilled to be here. We're going to take a walk back in time to celebrate our long service recipients and to have some fun. The way the program is going to work this morning is we're going to alternate between a Mission Award presentations as well as the long service celebrations. We also want this to be interactive. Of course, we're in the virtual world, and it doesn't stop us from getting you guys involved. You can sit back, enjoy, get onto Slido, slido.com. The code is PHC-June10, and light up the chat. Let's find out where you are watching from. What is your position? How many years are you celebrating? And send kudos to your colleagues. So we want to see as many entries as possible, and there will be prizes later on with some trivia. So let's get going with celebrating our over 1,000 recipients.
Fantastic. And my name is Christopher DeBono, and I have the pleasure and honor of serving as the Vice President of Mission, Organization Development, and Ethics. And like Melody, I look forward to these awards, partly because, as both Shane and Fiona shared, I really believe that our best and strongest asset is our people. And it's our people that allow us to do great things in every corner of our hospitals and long-term care centers, and in our research centers and in our education work. So thank you, everyone. And thank you for just living the mission, the vision, and the values in the remarkably creative ways that you do, and for the longevity of our 1,000 celebrants today, that really, really just bring our care to the people who need it most. And just a couple of housekeeping things, just as Melody did as well. Because we're virtual, we're unable this year to directly give the recipients their awards, but I just want to assure you that they will show up to respond to their award. There'll be wonderful videos that our media services have done, and I always look forward to those. And we'll make sure that those gifts arrive in their hands this week. So really, really pleased about that. And Melody, I've shared a little bit about why this touches me. Is there anything you wanted to share about being the co-host and celebrating these folks?
It's just amazing. I'm always inspired to hear stories. I've been with Providence for 25 years this year, and I think Providence is an absolutely special place. I think people often think they start working here. I think I'll be here for a few years, and so many people have found Providence to be their home. So I think it's just on a daily basis, being inspired by the work that we do, the people we meet, the relationships and the connections. And so we're going to have some fun today and just really celebrate.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to take this chance to thank you for your 25 years of service.
That's my next year's celebration.
But you've got to wait a year to get that. So you've got to be 26 years.
That's right.
Okay. It is my honor to announce the person who's going to give our first award, and we're going to have 7 of these. It is my pleasure to introduce a colleague, a friend, and indeed the chair of our society, Mark Spelliscy, who's going to give a few remarks, first on behalf of the society and the award that they are announcing today live on this presentation. So Mark, over to you.
Thanks, Christopher, and welcome everyone on behalf of the society and our board of directors. I also want to welcome everyone in Zoom land, because you could be Vancouver, you could be British Columbia, Canada, or around the world. I sound like that Foster Hewitt back in the day, Hockey Night in Canada, welcoming everybody from around the world. But in Zoom land, that's literally where you might be dialing in from. I had the privilege last week, or the fun last week, to zoom in on my granddaughter's ballet recital in Ottawa. So although I'm not a real Zoom, aficionado, I will try my best. So bear with me, please. I've been asked to say a few words on behalf of the Society and the Board of Directors about the importance of the mission awards to the Society. And I've been very fortunate to be able to participate in this event for several years now. And I gotta say, it's one of the ones that I look forward to very much. And that's because it recognizes individuals and teams that live the mission, vision, and values of our organization that goes back over 125 years through their actions and words on a daily basis. And they inspire their coworkers, they inspire us on the society, the board of directors, to follow in their example. So I think it sets us apart from a lot of other organizations, because this is something that we value. We value our history, we value our mission, vision, and values, and we celebrate those. Before I get to the award this year, just let me say a few words about Providence Healthcare Society, because most often when I'm introduced as a chair, everybody's looking for Eric Harris, and they're going like, oh, who's this dude? And just a little bit of background. So the society is the legal entity of Providence Healthcare. Our members appoint the board of directors, and we work together with the board of directors, the senior leadership team, the medical staff, the professional staff, and the multitude of volunteers and family members and other people who support Providence in its day-to-day delivery of services to the people we care about, to those in our care, our patients and our residents. They carry forward the legacy of our founding congregations. But this year is really exciting for me because this year there's a new award. It's our Society Mission Award. And this focuses on programs and initiatives that reflect the legacy of our founders in their daily work, in their vision of the future. These are people that forge pathways that reflect the characteristics not only of our founding members with their vision, mission, and values, but also with their faith, their fortitude, their advocacy for social justice. So important in today's world. So these people, some of us might say these people are dreamers. You know, they dream the dreams, but you know what? These people, what do the young people say? They walk the talk. They have the dreams, but they also are people that say, let's put these dreams into action. How can we break down barriers? How can we meet new challenges? And how can we carry PHC forward into the future, ensuring it continues to live and breathe and drive in a way that helps our community? So the 2021 inaugural PHC Society Award recognizes just such a group. This is from an initiative in our long-term care that actually focuses on two of the things that I think we do very, very well: our care of seniors and our care of those with substance abuse disorders. The team behind this initiative demonstrated the ability to not only recognize a need that's not been met, but also to work together collaboratively, compassionately, in the spirit of cooperation, and come up with a solution that addresses this unmet need, present it, and then implement it. So I'm very excited to announce that the 2021 recipient of the inaugural PHC Society Award is for the Opioid Agonist Therapy and Long-Term Care Treatment Initiative, led by Dr. Marcus Greatheart. Greatheart. And we have a short video that will explain in detail what this fabulous initiative is. And I want to extend again my congratulations, not only to Dr. Greatheart and his team, but also to again reemphasize how excited and pleased we are to be a part of this ceremony that recognizes everyone and all that everyone does for our residents, our patients, and those we care about, and the families that support us all. So on behalf of the Society, the Board of Directors, thank you very much, and here's the video.
This is a quality improvement project that we created a few years ago in collaboration with the leadership group here at St. Vincent's Langara. We had identified a gap in care. We knew that Providence, as part of its mission, has historically always met the needs of vulnerable communities and elders. We saw the growing opioid epidemic here in Vancouver and across Canada and North America. And we thought, well, it's really a matter of time when one of these folks ends up at our site as an interim site. Are we prepared to meet the needs of folks who are both frail and needing our services in long-term care, and also have substance use disorders and opioid use disorder?
I was recruited, I would say, by Dr. Greatheart, our long-term care medical director at Langara, because he identified a gap of care between our elderly folks and those who are using methadone as an opioid agonist therapy.
As we know, addictions care has really evolved in Vancouver in light of the current opioid epidemic. So we saw this tension and we realized, well, rather than sort of passively waiting for this type of situation to happen, we decided to be proactive and said, let's do a quality improvement project. So in discussion with our site nursing educator, Nita Upal, and our leadership team, including our clinical nurse leader, Brian Huffsmith, we decided to enter into this quality improvement project within Providence.
Getting staff on board was incredibly important to us. And we knew right from the bat that we would have to get over some stigmas. So there was lots of education. So Nita, she really took it on to make sure that the staff had everything they knew they needed to know about working with these folks. And once we started doing some education sessions and checked in with everyone's biases, we actually found that people were quite excited and engaged. They just needed to know more.
It was an interesting education. So we started off with, I had taken a bunch of pictures of random people and I asked them to make judgment calls on these pictures. And then what I did the next day, I flipped it and I said, this guy, you guys said he does this, this, and this. And they were shocked about the judgments they made on just the visual pictures of these folks. And when we stripped all that judgment down and that core soul was in front of us, could we work? And that's when we started to work. In conjunction with Dr. Greatheart and Brian, we created care plans to cater to the care for these residents.
I will say that it's been very challenging because, you know, these are folks that come from different walks of life, and sometimes they've learned survival methods that aren't really compatible with some of the elders that we work with, right? So it's important that they have somewhere to be able to thrive and grow, and we want to be able to support that.
When I think about what our next steps will be, it's a period of reflection. We want to continue doing education with folks within our facility, the other Providence facilities and beyond. We see that there's a role for a special neighborhood for folks impacted by substance use disorders who may struggle to fit in to a general population. We think many will be able to fit in with a general population. And we think that there are some who might eventually need to have a unique neighborhood that meets their unique care needs. That we're able to address some of the inequities where at the intersection of folks living with substance use disorders and our frail elders really is a marvelous opportunity. I'm just so grateful to our organization for not only supporting it, but seeing this as a part of its mission. So I'm really honored by the award, but it's also reaffirms the importance of the work that our amazing leadership team and care team at St. Vincent's Langara have really done here.
Well, hello, thank you. It's my first time seeing the video. It's really quite excellent and moving. I want to thank on behalf of our leadership and care team at St. Vincent's Langara. I would like to thank you for recognizing our opioid agonist therapy and long-term care project. It was the summer of 2018 when our team recognized that effective treatments for opioid use disorder and the first available bed policy from hospital meant that it was a matter of when and not if a patient on methadone would arrive at our facility. Guided by the PHC mission, we decided that we wanted to be ready to provide the same excellent care that every resident receives. Special thanks to my colleague, our amazing and capable clinical nurse leader, Brian Huffsmith, to our dynamic nurse educator, Nita Upal, for her tireless contributions, to Bina, Lou, and Sandra Lee for their site leadership support, to Dr. Ken Takano, to Joanne Tate for helping to champion this work. We could not have done this without the extraordinary allied and care staff colleagues who showed up with compassion for our residents. I've had the great fortune to train and work at Providence since 2007, first as a social worker under Mary Petty and Cheryl Jolliffe, and then as a family doctor under Doctors Betty Calum and Rita McCracken at the St. Paul's Family Practice Residency site. Now, as the site lead for behavioral medicine at St. Paul's, I'm honored to train our future physicians about the effectiveness of treatments like methadone for treating opioid use disorder, and simultaneously, how to advocate effectively for our structurally vulnerable patients. We can all have this kind of impact, and that's what the Society Award recognizes. Thank you very much.
All right, let's get that music going. Can you guys hear it? All right, so light up Slido. Who knows the song? Yes, we all know it. Yes. We are transported back in time at the Olympics. Who doesn't remember these gloves, right? Vancouver came alive. I am so happy to be celebrating our 5, 10, and 15-year milestone recipients. That means staff started in 2005, 2010, or 2015. Yes, the Olympics was a very magical time. When you think back to those memories, everyone has a memory. Either you were in Vancouver or you weren't. I know so many people that left town and then they were so jealous that they missed out. So trivia question, you are eligible for a prize for the first person to put their answer into Slido. Who are the mascots from the Vancouver Olympics? So put that into Slido and we'll talk about those answers at the next milestone celebration. So in this category, we have over 700 of you celebrating the milestone. That's a huge chunk, over 1,000 recipients this year. When you think about 5, 10, 15 years of being at Providence, many of you have come in at different points in your career. You might have just started your career, some out of school, all sort of along your journey. When you think about the collective energy, the enthusiasm, the ideas, and the innovation and creativity, and even the lived experience that you've brought to Providence, it's overwhelming. Congratulations to our 5, 10, and 15 years. And for all of you, let's get back onto Slido and share a highlight from your time at PHC. Let's find out, let's learn more about all our recipients. Now let's go to a video where we're going to learn about one of our 5-year milestone recipients.
So my name is Kelly. I am currently working as the clinic coordinator at Crosstown Clinic. I'm covering a maternity leave there for about a year. My normal position is at 7 Alpha as the clinical nurse leader. I chose PHC. I had some family friends who worked at PHC, so I thought it would be a really great opportunity. They talked really highly of it. The other reason is both my parents worked at VGH, so I wanted to do something a little bit different than them. I started out at St. Paul's Medicine as a direct care nurse, which is a very challenging place to work. So the first few days were a bit of a whirlwind, and I don't really remember a whole lot of the specifics. But what I do remember is the teamwork that I experienced by my coworkers and how supported I felt as a new grad in a pretty fast-paced and intense environment, and how they really helped. Last year in March of 2020, I was the CNL of 7 Alpha, and one day my coworker came into my office at the end of the day and kind of sat me down and said, well, yep, you're up. Your unit's been picked as the first COVID unit at St. Paul's. You know, just kind of had that moment of like, okay, here we go. It was a very, very scary time. We decanted all of the patients off of the clinic, off the floor the next day, and started preparing. We really pulled together as a team. We had all of our nurses, you know, no complaining. We all came together and we're ready. Our positions, we had a physician group that rotated through the COVID unit as we were figuring out policies and processes, liaising with public health. How do we discharge somebody with a COVID positive diagnosis? How do we discharge somebody who's, you know, may not have a house, who's COVID positive? All of these things that were being developed on the fly. Everyone pulled together, and even though there was a lot of stress and you know, people needing to take different breaks at different times, we made it work. Yeah, one of the things that I really love about working at PHC is the vulnerable populations that we get to work with. If you had told me in nursing school that I'd be at a clinic in the downtown east side, I'm not sure if I would have believed you. It's not something that I ever thought I'd want to do. But through some of the work at medicine and palliative care and getting to know some of our urban health patients and just seeing the impact that I can make as a nurse on somebody's experience in the healthcare system was really powerful. And so I had this opportunity to go to Crosstown Clinic. I really jumped at that. And it's been really I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to be there and get to know our clients and just see the work that's being done with our staff and how amazing they are with our clients and the relationships that are formed there. It's really powerful and it's really important. So some of the things that excite me about the future of PHC, right now there's a big regional push to unify PHC and BCH's response to the overdose crisis. And so there's some really amazing work being done behind the scenes to try to meet, at least try to meet the needs, because we aren't at the moment. For Crosstown specifically, we're actually going to be moving sites in a few months. So we'll hopefully be able to add services and again, meet more of our clients' needs. And of course, St. Paul's is going to be getting a new building sometime in the future, and we're really excited to see what things are going to be offered and again, continue to meet the needs of our clients and patients. So some advice I'd give to somebody who's just starting out is one thing that's really helped me is just talking to various different people in different professions and different roles and kind of getting to know what they do, seeking opportunities as they come. So being a part of a committee, being trained to cover leadership roles if it gets presented, just taking opportunities as they come, because I kind of went into nursing not really knowing what I wanted to do, didn't really have a path, and just taking opportunities as they come. And so far I've really enjoyed the work that I've done, and I really am excited to see what else comes along.
Kylie, thank you for those words. And on behalf of Providence Healthcare, thank you for your service. The story you shared, and starting with the very, very poignant reminder of 15 months ago when COVID was declared and affected everything we do, you reminded me very much of this award that I have the pleasure of giving, which is the Mission Award for an Individual. And the reason you reminded me of that is the care and the concern and the planning that you described, that you and your colleagues went through to make our first unit a hospitable place for people diagnosed with COVID. So that's a perfect setup, because this award, which again is for an individual, seeks to celebrate someone who consistently leads in his or her actions with mission, vision, and values in everything that they do. And our recipient this year, with COVID on our minds and in our hearts, had an impact really on the entire organization and played a pivotal role in our response to COVID-19. I know as one of the members, and we're all appreciative members of the senior leadership team, this individual's advice was instrumental to helping us keep people safe. He had many, many nomination forms, and they all spoke of a lot of really neat things about him, but there was a consistent theme about his tireless dedication to our patients, our staff, and everyone that's involved in research, care, and education. In fact, just this morning, somebody just spontaneously told me about how great this person's work at our shelter was when we needed to think about testing folks there in our partnership with the Archdiocese for folks that come in with COVID-19 overnight. So that's a spontaneous example. It wasn't in my notes, but I thought, isn't that funny today, just hearing that story? I was also reminded as we were preparing for this celebration that in times of adversity over these last 15 and 16 months, we all know that there were often more questions than answers. And sometimes our answers had to change with the new science that we learned. This individual was available 24/7 to all questions from staff, from doctors, from leaders, as well as our partners and everyone in between. And it's really funny because this past year, one of the constant refrains when people had all these questions was, if I don't know, I think you should ask Victor, because Victor knows. Or have you asked Victor? Or what does Victor say? We might want to get a t-shirt for that for you. So by now, all of you know, I am pleased and honored to announce the recipient of the 2021 Mission Award to Dr. Victor Leung, Medical Director of our IPAC services. Let's take a look now at a video that describes Dr. Leung and the amazing work that he and his team have done.
So I split my time mostly with infection prevention and control and antimicrobial stewardship, but I also maintain clinical practice seeing patients on the infectious disease consult service and also in the medical microbiology lab just to keep updated and informed about what's happening. Seeing patients on the hospital wards gives me a better understanding of what the challenges are, the day-to-day, both the patients will see while they're in hospital as well as healthcare worker, just having experienced myself and going through the wards and challenges that we encounter.
Victor has been instrumental in our team in really being a voice and leading the way, always reminding us of the science behind what we're doing, the principles behind what we do in infection control. I think it's also, I'm sure, been a very tough year for him as he continues to show up and continues to advance the science behind what we're doing in COVID.
Victor had implemented a lot of rapid staff testing. That I think was a big innovation, but I think that hopefully kind of curbed outbreaks more quickly by identifying these new staff cases.
Without his help and his knowledge and expertise, this would have been a tougher year than it was.
He's just an amazing person. He's so humble. He's amazingly hardworking. He's so supportive of new ideas, information, education, and he's just available to answer any questions.
Victor has guided us through what has been the most difficult year I've ever experienced in healthcare. He's stayed calm and focused and was able to just keep moving with all of the information changing constantly. You know, because we bring up concerns and say, okay, this is what we're being told, this is what we're seeing. And he never stopped. I mean, again, talking about 7 days a week, 18-hour days, I mean, I think we all had him on speed dial.
Victor is always thinking. I don't know when his brain shuts off. He is always thinking. He's always thinking of improvements. He's always thinking about what could we do better.
It is so inspirational to watch him work, and I don't use that word lightly. He has dedicated himself practically 24/7 to doing everything he can to find out what he can do to keep our staff and residents and patients safe. And sometimes he's actually doing that in conflict with his learned partners across the province. And yet, for the last year and a half, what we have found is that Victor's actually probably been right.
Victor's a household name in the Heart Center and in St. Paul's Hospital. Everybody knows who Victor Leon is. He's taken all of this newfound fame and really created a platform for knowledge dissemination, for educating, for championing causes which are important for the medical staff and for the hospital generally.
As a physician, I'm very privileged, and I feel a responsibility with that privilege to be able to try to communicate things that I think are important for our society and for individual patients and healthcare workers. With life, things happen by chance. I just happen to be in a position where it's given me the opportunity to do the work I'm doing.
Hi, I just wanted to thank you all for this recognition. The last 15 months has been a very humbling experience for myself, and definitely have made lots of mistakes in sometimes giving advice, but the most positive part is to be able to work with all of you. It's your patience, your understanding and your support for the work that we do as teams that continues to inspire me to live this commitment to provide the best care we can for everyone at PHC. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor, and thank you for those kind words. I had two thoughts and feelings as I watched the video and now listen to you. And the first is that deep sense of humility and constant striving that was described, I think, by Camilla. And I just believe that that's one of the gifts that you give us. The other thought I had was a very, very early presentation you gave to us about what it means to get tested for COVID. And I think you'll remember that horrific graphic that reminded us of what it's like to get a swab through our nose. And you just shared that with such grace. I'm almost going to laugh about it now, but having had a few tests, you always come to mind when the back of my brain is being niggled by a swab. So congratulations, Victor. And again, we are so glad you're part of Providence. I now have the pleasure of announcing another award. This is a Team Mission Award. And this award, given just what we've been talking about with both Hailey and with Victor, does connect very, very well with the theme of COVID. So over the past year, this small team has sacrificed their personal lives. They've worked extra long shifts, extra long days, extra weekends in an environment where they were often met, because we were trying to figure this out as it developed, with a heightened sense of fear and admittedly some frustration. And during the outbreak at Holy Family Hospital, this team was asked to step up to the plate, work both evenings and day shifts to be available 7 days a week. Through it all, the team supported one another to begin with, which is an important part of our care, but also they did so with compassion and professionalism, truly leading, truly living our mission, vision, and values. It is my honor to announce the recipient of our 2021 Team Mission Award to the Infection Prevention and Control Team. Let's take a look at why this team is being celebrated at this moment.
IPAC is a group of individuals that will reach out and come in person to the area to ensure that all the infection prevention and control practices are in place, which includes proper hand hygiene, proper donning of all the PPE, and all the other different areas that may be an issue in long-term care and acute areas, such as your soiled and clean utility rooms and even break rooms.
We ensure that the frontline staff have everything that they need, the infrastructure to work safely and with best practice.
As an infection control practitioner, when we come onto the unit, we see things differently, and it allows staff to also share in those visions and always seeking improvement, both for the environment and for resident safety.
Our team has always tried to take the feedback and improve on it. The feedback and dialogue with the staff has been the most impactful learning experience.
Through the last year, we had numerous outbreaks in our long-term care facilities and in acute care settings, in Holy Family Hospital, in medicine, in cardiac and renal programs.
We've had to quickly develop methods for contact tracing of staff and patients, and we've collaborated very closely with occupational health and safety as well as CST to develop these tools and protocols that we have been using since the beginning of the pandemic.
Working as a infection control construction specialist during COVID meant many things. Everything from improving ventilation in our intensive care areas to creating a COVID unit. And then all these things that we learned during COVID, we can now bring into the design and the ideas for the new St. Paul's.
Many of us said who have worked in infection control for a long time that this is what we were made for. This is what we were meant to do with all of our years of experience and outbreak management. And that was the moment for us to step up and do what we do best.
Everyone tried to pitch in more, coming together as a team to try to overcome this. So I think it was really kind of, gratifying feeling that the teamwork and the camaraderie and just everyone doing what they could to get through the outbreak.
I have been watching them over the last year and a half and how they have come together to just live the mission, vision, and values of Providence Healthcare. The personal sacrifice they've made, the extent that they have had to really abandon their personal lives to support not only the patients and residents we serve, but all of the people who come to work here every day has been phenomenal. And I sit back and I look at them in awe, and they have done it with positivity and grace.
This team really is so special. And as we have gone through so much together, we continue to show up and work very hard and work collectively and for the betterment of the patient and resident experience.
What I hope is that this award helps them understand just how much this organization appreciates everything they've done. You could say it was just their job, but it was so much more than just their job. They threw themselves into this and they took the brunt of a lot of other people's frustrations, but they persevered. And they've gotten us to this point where we hope we're coming out the other side. And in huge measure, it's because of their efforts.
Just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for this award. And this is truly a huge honor. I have behind me Eleanor and Glenn and Thomas from the IPAC team and the whole IPAC team in the room with me here. So we're having a little celebration. Just wanted to say that I also feel an honor and privilege to work with this whole infection prevention and control team over this very difficult year, and how they worked tirelessly with operations and all the rest of the people that we've been involved in for the last year here to ensure that our patients and our staff stay safe during the pandemic. Certainly this is a huge recognition that they deserve, and out of all the years, this is the years that they deserve it the most. So thank you, and we wouldn't have been able to do this without everybody else, so thank you to everybody for in Providence Health. Thank you.
Are we playing the music? You got some music going? All right. Yes, let's hear this. Anyone want to do some moves? So we are going back. Yes, we're not at a Madonna concert, we're at the Molson Indie. So we are now celebrating our recipients' 20, 25, and 30-year milestones between 1990 and 95 and 2000. So if you think about 20 to 30 years of being at Providence Healthcare, wow. So many milestones, personal milestones, whether it's you've moved a few times, you've met a partner, maybe at Providence, you've raised kids, pets, even plants. You've had so many experiences, birthdays, travels. When you think 20 to 30 years, that's a heck of a long time. And that's a lot of years of service that this group of recipients has really provided for Providence. So if you take a look at all our recipients, here's another trivia question. Oh, by the way, the Olympics mascot, we had lots of great responses. It was a bit of a trick question because the official mascots were Miga and Kwachi. The Paralympic mascot was Sumi, and the sidekick was Mukmuk. So the winner goes to Megan Ng in communications. And so there'll be some gift cards of not huge amounts, coffee cards, enough to get you a little bit caffeinated. And so we've got another trivia question. So we take a look at, we have 1,085 long service recipients. And so the question is, what do you think the cumulative years of all those recipients? So go on to slido.com, PHC June 10, and type in your answer, and we'll see who gets it right. So now let's go to a video where we're going to hear from one of our beloved staff members from one of our long-term care homes.
I want to say that we are on the ancestral land of the Indigenous people in Vancouver, BC. So my name is Felix Saldana. I'm a rehab assistant at Brockfani. I have been with PHC over 20 years. Before I joined Providence, I was a banker, and I always wanted to change my profession. And I wanted to work with older adults. I had a great opportunity to meet a lady who used to work here, and she encouraged me to take the program, Therapeutic Rec. And I was lucky. On the 1st of April 2000, I joined Brockfani. And I was able to work with the rehab department where I can give quality of life to the residents, and we look after the physical, social, mental, and emotional needs of our residents. I was lucky that I could share my talent to give passionate care to our residents, and my daily interactions with the residents, I feel, alleviates the loneliness and boredom that sometimes they may feel. We had a number of veterans here, and I knew I could do something, and it really gave me a sense of working here. I also drive a bus, and I take the residents out for various outings. It's so nice to see that we are moving forward with megamorphosis where the resident is the focus, and I think I'd love to see that happen. In my 20 years working here, I am so grateful and pleased to work and care for our residents and their family members, and also to work with our dedicated staff and volunteers. And this actually makes me feel every day fulfilled. What makes me feel very happy is that I can share the talent that I have, and also I bring joy. Sometimes, be just wearing this lovely shirt that I'm wearing right now, it brings joy and happiness to the residents. And when I go on holidays or vacation, when I come back, the residents say, I miss you. So I feel that I do make a difference in their life. I personally feel blessed to be working at Providence because they do care for each and every staff, and personally, me too. And that's one of the reasons why I decided not to look at anywhere else. I knew this is the place where I would finish my career. It's a wonderful place to work because Providence has some very good mission, the mission and values. The staff make the residents feel at home. So when you make the place feel at home, it's a great place to come to work.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you for those words, and especially thank you for mentioning how you feel doing the work that you do here at Providence. I'm reminded that you were one of the first people I met in long-term care when I started at Providence myself, and I was always moved by your hospitality, your deep warmth, and your wonderful laugh, actually. And I know that as we celebrate all of those in this service segment, this is about you, and we are so grateful. And this story from long-term care is a perfect segue in the larger story we're telling today about long service and mission awards. And it's my honor to give the Keeping the Promise Award now in terms of this announcement. This award recognizes an individual who upholds our organization's dedication, in particular, its dedication to social justice. The cause of social justice refers to individuals who are often living in situations of great vulnerability and who are often marginalized in our community. These individuals often require an advocate, someone like a Felix, to speak when they have no voice, to amplify the voice that they have, and to enable them to be partners and, in fact, leaders in their own life journey. We know that COVID has affected all of our institutions' work, and in a very special way, our long-term care centers were hotspots very early on, and they challenged us, as we've spoken before. So it is an honor today to have this recipient come from one of our staff in a long-term care home. This individual is much beloved by both our seniors and by her fellow staff. She has been nominated several times for a mission award over the years. And this, again, speaks to the peer review process that we have for these awards and how she inspires people day in and day out in her work. So this is a shout out. I am happy to announce the recipient of the Keeping the Promise Award, goes to Melissa Donaldson, our music therapist at Holy Family Hospital. Let's look at this video to get a peek into her wonderful musical talent and her impact.
Took quite a long time after graduating to kind of just explore. I knew that I wanted to go back to school, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I lived in London, England for a while, and when my visa ran out there, I moved back, and I knew that I wanted to study music and work with people. I ended up taking a career and self-exploration workshop. It wasn't until the end of the month when we all got to know each other, we did this one exercise where each one of us stood in front of an empty projector with a marker, and people would just randomly call out occupations that they could see each person doing after getting to know them. And so it wasn't until someone actually said music therapy to me, I had never even heard of it before. And it just stopped me in my tracks. That was it. I just knew I needed to do some research to find out if this is it. And I honestly have not looked back since.
So Melissa continually impressed me by how she makes a difference in the lives of the residents. She connects with the resident families and staff in a deeper level, not only through her music, but just by being herself. She's a very strong advocate of our residents, and I would say that when the going gets tough, she maintains her best attitude. She keeps us grounded.
She really serves as a model for me, especially as not just a new staff member, but a new grad, to see this person that really goes out of her way to get to know every single resident, every single staff member, and just make everyone feel welcomed. And that's something that I strive towards as well.
She has the gift of making you feel really important and really seen. She takes the time and slows down and recognizes the value in other people and just shares that and enthusiastically. So I think when she interacts with residents, she just makes them feel important. She makes her coworkers feel important. She has that capacity to just recognize the humanity and the significance of others.
Melissa has a natural desire and curiosity to understand people's story and their lived experience, who they are, where they come from, what's important to them, and what makes them uniquely themselves. And she's able to connect to others through music and form these deep and meaningful relationships that families and residents really value, and I appreciate as her colleague.
It's been quite a year. As soon as the pandemic started and the programming stopped and was canceled, I knew that I had to come up with a way quickly to reach as many people and keep the morale and spirits high of both the staff and residents, because it was increasingly becoming a darker time and more isolation was apparent. And so it wasn't until I was in a meeting one day and I heard the fire watch notification going over the PA, and I realized, oh, that's basically all we hear over the PA broadcasted thing. So I thought, wow, there's actually like nothing joyful that's ever broadcasted over. So I thought, okay, this is how I can reach people, through singing or music over the PA. So I started with more like serenading, song requests and that kind of thing, getting the residents involved. And then it just kind of started to develop over time, really depending on the needs.
We had so much sorrow in our heart. Music has that ability to touch the emotions and to lift the spirit. It's very spiritual. And many times when somebody was dying, at one point she was deemed non-essential. She had to leave the site during the outbreak, but I connected her through a cell phone. So when residents were dying, I was here at night holding their hands and playing their heart songs. And Melissa would sing on the other side of the phone, and she'd sing their heart songs to the residents who were dying and help lift them and lift their spirits. She's just been absolutely marvelous gift to Holy Family.
Well, I think Holy Family has had a tough year, and I think as many people have, but I think the you know, the trauma and the sorrow that this site experienced was so significant. And I think having Melissa come back, having Melissa receive this award, it gives us that sense that, you know, we're all in this together and there is an end. And I think she just continues to bring that joy every day in the most Melissa way, which is amazing.
I used to think I was sort of the chosen one. I was a special one in Melissa. And then when I started doing the radio program, we were going down the hallway from my room to the nurse's station. I would see all these people coming out of their rooms looking at Melissa, and I thought, oh my goodness. I could see in their eyes, they were the special ones to Melissa. She'd just say, oh, hi, so-and-so, or whatever, introduce me or whatever. And I thought, I'm not the special one. Everybody feels special in Melissa's eyes.
How do you maintain your composure after watching a video like that? Wow, thank you for the beautiful video, the beautiful heartfelt words. What an absolute honor to receive and accept this award with all that it stands for and represents. I'm seated here with my people at Holy Family here supporting me, which is really amazing. Yeah, it's I'd just like to thank my nominators, their beautiful words, the selecting committee. I'd like to thank my radio show assistant and all the participants. It's been keeping us going this last year. It's been a lot of fun. I'd like to thank my incredibly hardworking team here at Holy Family that I work with, and I'm so gifted to work with. I'm so grateful. We share the same person-centered approach, and I could not have done it without them this last year. There's no way I could have done it without them. I would just also like to thank Media Services for the beautiful video and for making me cry. You're good at what you do. And yeah, this I just could not be more, I consider myself very lucky to be able to work in this rich and rewarding environment amongst very talented and very heart-centered people, professionals. And I just could not ask for a more rewarding profession. And yes, music therapy was deemed non-essential this last year. I just hope that this speaks for itself. So congratulations to all of the long service and award recipients, and just thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Melissa, thank you for those heartfelt words. I want to pick up on one or two things that you've shared. Yes, our media services, they also have a special art and gift, just like you do. So I thank you. That brought me to tears too. I also really appreciated the statement from one of our residents there of how you made that person feel special, and then she realized you do this for everyone, and everyone's your special person at long-term care. And I think that's wonderful. I think that is the personal touch that Providence tries to bring. So, you know, before I move on to this next award, if William Shakespeare knew what he was writing about, if music be the food of love, please, Melissa, keep playing on, and thank you. The next award, and there is a theme in this grand narrative of COVID and our responses, is about research and mission. So the Research and Mission Award is presented to someone who has conducted outstanding research that exemplifies who we are and who we try to be. Through this award, we are able to actually reflect back again on the grand narrative that we've been talking about today. When the COVID pandemic hit, this individual immediately pivoted his research on lung disease to immediately set up a post-COVID respiratory clinic. His work in this area has quickly made him a leader in the growing area of research around COVID-19 and a strong and tireless advocate for COVID patients. I really like to listen to the words of nominators, and someone described him this way. He embodies the ethos of PHC as a caring and compassionate leader and a team player who is supportive of his colleagues. It is my pleasure to announce that the recipient of the 2021 Research and Mission Award goes to Dr. Chris Ryerson, Head of Respiratory Medicine. And let's take a look at this next video by Media Services to learn more about Dr. Ryerson and his work.
Dr. Ryerson embodies the spirit and the letter of the Mission Award. He has been with the organization for well over 10 years. He has set up the Interstitial Lung Disease Clinic, which has served hundreds, if not thousands, of British Columbians with really life-threatening interstitial lung disease.
Interstitial lung disease, it's a big umbrella term. It's a group of about 200 different diseases that cause scarring or inflammation of the lungs. The two main consequences is that you can't move your lungs as much as you would before, and then oxygen can't diffuse into your bloodstream as easily as it used to. I started out as an internal medicine resident at UBC back in 2004 was when I began. Started my pulmonary training in 2007. Following that, went to University of California, San Francisco for a 2-year fellowship in pulmonary fibrosis. And that's really when my research career started.
We do work the clinic together and we see a variety of people, and the clinic has expanded exponentially since we started. The beginning of the clinics to now, Dr. Ryerson has immensely expanded his influence in the disease across Canada, across the world, one through his research, which is just ongoing all the time. There are times we actually tease him, please just quit thinking. We can't keep up.
It was definitely a journey. So it wasn't one specific day where I realized I want to be a pulmonary fibrosis doctor. I think what appealed to me about it was the combination of talking to patients at a vulnerable time in their disease. There was definitely an unmet need in that area, so very few people who are experts in that. So there was an ability to join that group and become a leader in that group.
We also have decided he's an industry unto himself with the different initiatives that he has gone through and seized as the moment comes along. One being the COVID situation, where within hours, Dr. Ryerson had set up a research group, but it was based in a clinic where we would also be seeing patients, not just paper.
My immersion in the post-COVID world started with a bang. So March 12th, 2020 was the day when it all kind of started. And that was the day that we recognized that it was here and it was going to be a big deal. And that's when everything changed really in our group, was March 12th, 2020. A group of us, both myself and a few others from here and from Vancouver General Hospital, decided that we needed a way to study these patients and to do so in a robust manner that allowed us to generate knowledge at a time when we really didn't know much about the disease.
Certainly does raise the bar in terms of standards of care, and also is quite inspiring to other researchers here at St. Paul's Hospital.
He's done so much and has really addressed an area of need, both in the COVID world and in the ILD world, and have made St. Paul's one of the leading centers for post-COVID care and for ILD care, not just in Canada, but throughout the world.
Great, thank you very much for those kind words from my nominators. It's a great honor for me and really for our whole pulmonary fibrosis team to be recognized in this way, especially with all the incredible people and teams that have received this award over the years, and even more so with all the incredible work that's been done over the last 15 months of the pandemic. I'd also like to say thank you to my many colleagues, partners, sponsors, and especially the patients who support this ongoing work to improve the lives of people struggling with pulmonary fibrosis. I've been at PHC now for just about 10 years as faculty, and this remains the best place I can imagine to serve this need with my many colleagues and friends at PHC. So again, thank you very much for this honor.
All right, we got some more music. Gives it away. It's right in the title. Dry Talking from 1975 from the Bee Gees. And now we're transported back to the 1970s. So before we go there, some of you might have been thinking, why the heck was she at the Molson Indy? I was so swept away by Madonna Vogue, thinking about my Vogue steps. I forgot to mention, Molson Indy came to Vancouver in 1990 and was here for 14 years. So I'm sure that brings back maybe some good and not so good memories. And now we go back in time to the 1970s. And well, some of you actually might not remember this TVs like this, where you didn't have a remote control. You had to switch the bunny ears to make the reception work. And so the 1970s, so we're now celebrating staff who celebrated milestones and started with us in 1970, 75, 80, and 85. Some of us weren't even born by then. That is a whole career at Providence Healthcare. And when you think about the memories, the connections, all those experiences, and people basically have made a whole career and a lifetime at Providence. So when we think back to the 70s, we think, okay, what about all those great TV shows, right? Those TV dinners, those TV stand tables, the Sony Walkman. So here's a trivia question. And of course, some of you are probably thinking, who won the last trivia? So I have to say, we have some very astute staff at PHC. We actually had someone that got the exact number of years of all our 1,085 recipients. The actual answer was 15,685 years of service. So the winner is Farzana Rayani from the Foundry, celebrating 6 years. I guess the milestone was 5 years. And a close second was Jamveed Sanu from Finance, celebrating 30 years milestone. So congratulations. And so, yeah, back to the trivia. So this is get back into the 1970s. So this television series had a person who was the epitome of cool. One snap of his fingers and the girls would magically appear. So what was the name of the character in TV show? In your response, please make sure you put your name in there and we'll figure out who that is. So also just write in, what was your favorite show from the 70s? I mean, there's so many. MASH, Partridge Family, Waltons, Battlestar Galactica, Laverne and Shirley, Charlie's Angels. And again, some of you younger folks may have no idea what we're talking about, and that's totally okay. So I am so honored to introduce our next long service video from a 50-year milestone recipient. 50 years, that means they started in 1970. Wow, that is amazing. Many of you actually will have worked with this person, with this nurse who in the course of her career has worked in the ICU when it was actually a relatively new concept in critical care. She played a major role in the development of our cardiac surgery program, which now is a leading program nationally. And she has worked in the emergency department and most memorably served as the head nurse of St. Paul's Hospital in the 1980s to the early 1990s. Let's take a look at this video from a very special nurse.
My name is Sharon Johnson. The role that I have at the moment is a registered nurse in IV therapy. That's intravenous therapy. So I basically go around and start IVs on all patients in the hospital. Well, I would say that I've been in IV therapy proper since 2001, but I sort of started doing IVs when I first started in ICU in 1970. And it seemed every role I had, like then when I was in open heart surgery, we started our own IVs then. So it's kind of been a lingering role. And then I retired in 2003 and stayed in IV therapy and did a little bit of emergency until 2009. The reason I came to Vancouver was I had a sister living here. And I had been born on the prairies in Saskatchewan, and I knew I did not want to stay there. So I moved over. I had been trying to get to St. Paul's since 1968, but that was the time when they were not hiring very many people. So I started writing to St. Paul's and asking if they had any positions, and no, they didn't. No, they didn't. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to come to Vancouver, and then I'm going to ask for an interview. I came to Vancouver, stayed with my sister, and I kept phoning and I kept annoying them, I'm sure. So finally, I got an interview, and I got an interview with Sally Staples and Margaret Banner. And to this very day, I can remember. And where their nursing services logo was, is where medical records is today. And every time I go by there, I think, oh my gosh, that's where I was interviewed and hired. And so I was hired on the 27th of July of 1970, and I was hired on into ICU. When I worked in ICU, which was still very young, like 1972, the concept changed from the doctor this, the doctor that, to we are a team, and we work as a team. And that, of course, is to this day. And all the disciplines are so accepted and so necessary. Otherwise, the patient's care is very fractured. With the research that's been done at St. Paul's and everywhere else in the world, I have certainly seen the cardiac area go from maybe 5 cardiologists. Dr. Kavanaugh was one of the heads. There were 3 cardiac surgeons. And of course, now all of that has changed. I was responsible, along with one other person, for designing the cardiac program. So we did that. It was the first ever in St. Paul's. And now it has been expanded by 5A, 5B to be very, very good. For me, working at St. Paul's has been a very memorable experience. I felt that I was always good to St. Paul's, and St. Paul's has always really been good to me. And they have allowed me to, go up the ladder and diversify and meet so many people. And for that, I'm very proud to be a nurse at St. Paul's. And I think it's a great hospital to work for. I think I would say to someone new to be open-minded, to strive for diversification. First of all, you'll be more marketable that way. And I think it will broaden your horizons by doing that. And that's how I felt. That's what I wanted to, to access, was just broadening my horizons. And I did. It was incredible.
Sharon, thank you for those words and the life advice that comes with 50 years of working at Providence. I feel richer for having you here, as I know this entire organization does. I want to thank the entire cohort that you're representing today as well. I'm really intrigued by the way you recruited yourself to Providence Healthcare. So for all of our recruiters that are on the line and are part of our people services, you are an inspiration of the kind of person that we try to get here working at Providence. So thank you. And thanks for your contribution over 50 years and your advice for all of us here working at Providence. You're the perfect segue to the next part of this story. I'm here to present one of our 2 last awards now this morning. This award is also inspired by another inspiring nurse just like you, Sharon. This is the Fame User Award, and it's named after an exceptional nurse leader who spent 27 years, so not quite 50, in various nursing management positions until her retirement. The reason we called this award is that she had particular qualities that we want to celebrate in each of our staff. And this award is about someone who has remarkable leadership and lives that leadership every day with our mission, vision, and values. This recipient today that we're celebrating is the leader of one of our largest, and I might add, most complex programs at PHC. He is known for leading with humility and with a calm demeanor. And over the 19 years that he has been with us at PHC, he has become incredibly well respected by those who know him. And it is my deep honor to announce right now the Muser Memorial Leadership Award goes to Blaine Bray, a program director with the Acute Tertiary and Mental Health Services. And you know, I have the pleasure of knowing Blaine. Again, when I joined the organization, I wanted to talk to people who embodied what it is that we are about. And one of the things that people said was speak to Blaine. And his work in mental health reminds me that the care that we offer to people living with this particular health issue really brings us to the heart of why we exist, and the loneliness and the suffering that is part of why Providence makes a difference in the world and seeks partners who can do the same. And I know that program is remarkably creative in the way that it works with people that often find themselves remarkably lonely, the kind of suffering that sometimes is difficult to talk about. And him and his team have the opportunity to bring that safety wrap around people. I know recently I had a family friend who reached out to me from Toronto and was looking for some kinds of support. And what I was able to do that was really neat was put that person in touch with Blaine, and everything got taken care of for this person. So after that slight delay, let me just say, over to Blaine Bray in the video. Thanks, Media Services.
It was in the 80s. I was managing a restaurant, and a nurse came in and asked if I'd be interested in hiring her just for the summer. She had a registration exam coming up in the fall and just needed work before then. And that is, I didn't know at the time, it completely changed my life. She was like, oh, you'd be great at psychiatric nursing. I hadn't even heard of it before. And then she kind of pushed me to apply, and one thing led to another. She basically showed up with the application. I filled it out, and next thing I knew, I was being interviewed and knee deep in it. And it just kept going from there.
Blaine has always been a very natural leader. He's always really put patients at the center of everything he does. He is passionate about mental health and passionate about the patients that we serve at Providence Healthcare.
I don't think it doesn't matter what role he's in. He's someone that believes in patient-centered care. He believes in being kind and respectful to everybody.
The roles that we're in currently, we're sometimes faced with challenging situations around patient flow, getting people into the spaces where they need to be for the best care that they can have, and working cross-program within the organization, but also across the region to just figure out how can we work together to get what we need for our patients. So he's not territorial around his program or your program or whatever site. He's always focused on what the patients need and how can we work with what we have to get people the care that they need and in the right place.
There's the foundation of patient safety, which he always sort of puts at the forefront, and the space and time to be innovative and take risks and fail, which I think is so key.
Right from those early days of working together, I think one of the things that made Blaine such a strong leader was his ability to form quick relationships with people, understand who they were and what they needed. And through that collaborative style, he's built really strong relationships at St. Paul's between the disciplines and also in the region. So he's really well respected at all layers of his work. And I think it's because he genuinely cares about the people that he works with.
We become a family, dysfunctional at times, maybe, but we become a family, and it's those relationships to me that make our work so successful. And because those relationships are very strong all through the building, from, like I say, from point of care staff, directors, managers, allied health, and all kind of steeped in collaboration basis over the years, and it's just always kept it very interesting.
I feel like he's a very giving, leader, and I feel like that lends itself to forming very authentic friendships with a lot of his teammates, and I've felt that. And I've always felt so supported, both in the office and out of the hospital. It's been wonderful.
But he's just a really humble and fun, and we just have a great time together, which I think makes the job easier.
Working with Blaine, I see that he has a real strong moral compass and makes ethical choices and decisions, and seeing how fair he is in helping people do their job and providing the tools they need, or the time just to talk to him and come discuss certain things they're considering. I know everybody really likes him and really thinks he's a great and fair leader. So it was my honor to nominate him, and it was easy to get people to give their name and support him being nominated for this award.
It's wonderful that Blaine's been recognized with the Fame User Award. He's a long-standing, contributing, wonderful leader in the organization.
He's just been so committed to the program and to his team and to the patients, and I feel like that's something to be honored. And I think that all of us want to acknowledge that, and I feel like this is just one way of doing it.
Thank you once again, Media Services, for capturing the spirit of Blaine. What a great story to celebrate, and what a deserving recipient of the Fame User Award. We don't have the capacity today. Blaine's unavailable to respond as our other award winners. But from us to you, Blaine, when you watch this video, I want to say thank you. Thank you for everything you do. And you did use the word dysfunctional family. For putting the fun in dysfunctional is really great for us as we struggle through every day of our care and our research and education. You are an inspiring leader, and I thank you. So we have one final award before this wonderful celebration that Shane spoke about wraps up. And this particular award is a really important piece, again, of the work we're doing at PHC. It's about looking and thinking about how we continue to improve quality and safety on behalf of our patients. The Best Patient Safety Award is named after Lynette Best. She was the chief of professional practice and nursing at Providence Healthcare, and had an incredible foresight to be concerned and to lead in the areas of patient safety and quality improvement. This award is presented to those who have shown innovation and commitment to the development and the redesign of the processes that help meet the needs of our patients and our residents. Obviously, this has been an important priority during a time of COVID-19. And it is my pleasure to award this award to 14 recipients who support what is called the Patient-Oriented Discharge Summary Initiative. Let's take a moment with this final video to learn about the PODS initiative and celebrate this incredible team.
PODS, which stands for Patient-Oriented Discharge Summary, was a project to try to improve the discharge process for patients leaving hospital and going to home or community. And that was based on knowing that where there's a good discharge process, patients and families go home feeling confident. They're more likely to be able to successfully transition home and not come right back to hospital. And the unique thing about PODS is it was co-designed by patients and families. And the information and the icons in there are what patients and families tell us they need.
PODS did such a great job at really identifying all the gaps in our processes and targeting them head on. And so I got to see that firsthand. And doing this at the direct care level, PODS really created that opportunity and that space for patients to clarify, ask questions, was something that we didn't have before, and something that was often skipped and looked over. And the fact that it's patient friendly just helped so much. I really saw quite a change and quite a difference if you look back at what our process used to look like versus what it looks like now with PODS in place.
It has a huge impact on the patients and the families. The feedback that we've had is that they've felt safer going home because they understand what is needed, and it helps them remember what they need to do for their health.
The proof is in the pudding. I think we heard loudly and clearly from patients who were contacted after they went home how much they appreciated the PODS document and how much they appreciated the phone call, the follow-up phone call was really quite remarkable emotionally for them. So we got that expression, but many of them did comment about the fact that it was very helpful to have that information, specific instructions, right down to where their follow-up appointment might be and or including who to contact if they needed to. So I think that was our signal that it was successful.
I could probably explain we're working with CST to have PODS incorporated into our electronic documents to make it easy. So we hear from patients that they find it really helpful. We hear from many providers as well that they find it really helpful. So making it easy to build into the current workflow is something that will make a huge difference. And then that will not only enable it on the units where we're using it now, but I think it will also help other units who are interested in using this, which we hear of that in many places, both within Providence Healthcare, but also abroad when we're making presentations about this in other places. People say, wow, how do I get this?
And I think something good about PODS is it's standard, it's specific in how you do it, but there is flexibility within that. So taking that type of approach to have this tool for people to use that will fit within their already established systems or processes would be really cool, really effective.
But I'd like to actually, for PODS to spread, not just within the lower mainlands, but I'd actually like to see it spread throughout all BC hospitals. I was actually thinking world domination, but I think that's a bit much at this point. So I think I'll just stick to it, spreading beyond 2 units at St. Paul's.
There were 14 people on our team, and all of them did this in addition to whatever else they're doing. And there's just such nice recognition that it made a difference and it got noticed. And so to have the organization say, nice work, team, is just really means a lot.
Well, on behalf of the PODS team, thank you for this recognition. It was such a privilege to work with the whole team. And I especially want to thank Christine, who you saw in the video, and Kimberly, who are our patient family partners on this project. I would say for Suzanne and I and Megan McLeod, who was our third sort of team co-leader, it was part of what I love about working at Providence is that we're always trying to make things a little bit better, and there's room for innovation and room for process improvement and research. And this project to me was really about family-centered care, about how can we make the discharge process work better for the patients and families we serve at Providence. So this week was What Matters to You week, which I think is a great week also to recognize a project like this. And thank you.
And I'll just join Aggie in just thanking the Patient Safety Committee for nominating us and for presenting this award to us. It was an immensely satisfying project to work on. And of all the projects for quality improvement, I think this one was the best, in my opinion, and the most rewarding, let's say. But really and truly, the tool sold itself. All we had to do was find a way to implement it. And I believe we successfully did. And more importantly, it was a very strong and helpful tool for patients and their families to transition home and to be successful in that and to be confident in able to care for themselves when they go home. So thank you for this award.
Thanks, Aggie and Suzanne, for those comments. What a great award to complete today's morning celebration. The whole idea of, as Aggie said, improving care in this moment when we're transitioning back to home. Really, really important. I love the patient advocate. Let's continue to change the world at Providence Healthcare. And that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
So, Melody, I think you have another person to celebrate. Something
a trivia. Right. So the Fawn's Happy Days, we had a ton of right answers. So people clearly know their 70s shows. So the winner is Grace Culperi, and she's actually celebrating a 35-year milestone and is a nurse with Providence. So congratulations. So we are at the end of our program.
It is so much fun doing this with you. You know, I guess we should just start over, have another 2 hours of
I
celebration.
can't wait. I need another like 4 hours to do my hair and makeup though. So.
I think so. I've just got to get used to having a suit jacket back on as well. But before we have to pause and in addition to thanking everyone online, everyone who's watching, and importantly, all those who've been celebrated, there is of course a whole team that makes this happen. So we want to get to some thanks for that. So, but before we do, I'm curious, Melody, every time I do this, I feel a huge flow of emotions when I listen to the stories of our staff and I hear how lives are changed. And it, you know, for me personally, I'd be curious how it has affected you. It just reminds me what it means to lead with integrity in an organization that is constantly learning and constantly trying to do the right thing. And I'm just humbled by the thousands of hours of service, but most importantly, by the gifts that people give of themselves. And, you know, we wish that for every British Columbian, and it is something that we know lives and breathes here, and I am just in awe of it.
So well said, Christopher, so well said. And I think that's why I've been at Providence for so long, is because I continue to be inspired, amazed every time. And I love actually how long service has come together with the Mission Awards, because I really feel it is accumulation and a celebration of everything that makes Providence so great and why so many people are here for so many years. And so I think it's just learning, continuing to learn the relationships and, you know, seeing people that I haven't seen for years in the videos and the shout outs on Slido. It's just, I'm so humbled. And, you know, the Kleenex, thank goodness there was some Kleenex in the room, but it's just such a celebration. And I think especially with this past year and a half, we need to do more celebrating and think about being grateful and all the good things around us. And I walk into work every day with pride, knowing that I'm a member of Providence, and just the events like this just completely reconfirm why I'm here. And I think a shout out to the senior leadership team, to Christopher, to you and the Providence SLT to make events like this happen. It could have been really easily just been, you know what, it's too busy. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're not going to do this. And so on behalf of Providence, we are so grateful that we have such compassionate leadership that really focuses on our people. So thank you.
I think there's a few other thank yous.
Oh yeah, there's lots more. This is a day of gratitude.
Let's start. I think you've got a couple of people on your list, Melody.
You actually mentioned media services in terms of Dawn Novikowski and her team. There's a whole crew here. Everyone's wearing masks. And there's a whole crew that have worked tirelessly to put this event on. Can you imagine the hours of interviews, editing to put each one of those videos together? It's amazing.
I can't, because that magic gift that they've got is not a skill that I have, but I am so grateful it lives here in media services.
It's amazing.
The other thing I learned today from media services is what this means. And I just did some sign language in my life, but I intuitively understood Ming when he was saying, Christopher, just keep talking.
It felt like a charades. Charades is going on.
And then I thought he was knitting something, because I was just, but that's the creativity of this team.
It's amazing.
And, you know, whether it's awards and all the other media ways we get our message out. Thanks, Dawn and team. Thanks to you, we're able to share the goodness of what we're about and share the promise and just share the hope and dreams that Providence wants to bring for all British Columbians.
Absolutely.
In terms of their health.
And then other kudos goes out to PHC Communications, all the emails that went out, the notices, and of course our long service committee, and a special shout out to Lucy Luongo, who's been such an advocate for mission, people, all those good things, and Hazel Gray, the brains behind this huge event. Even though it's virtual, there's still just as much work, if not more, in terms of putting a virtual event together. So special thanks to Hazel as well.
Yeah, Hazel, thanks for making it look so easy. And I know now there's all the blushing that comes, but it's wonderful to be, you know, the moderators of this, but we can't stand here without the entire team.
Absolutely.
So this is a shout out to Providence's family in everything that we do. So thank you.
And I just have one quote I found and I thought was just so fitting for this event. So it's from Steve Jobs. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it.
Thanks for that, Melody. You know, you're reminding me that not too far from where we are broadcasting today, we do our new employee orientation every month. And Fiona makes that point to all of our new staff that you're going to spend a lot of time, sometimes more time than you spend with your family in your work. And we want this to work for you. And we definitely want staff for whom this love lives in everything we do.
And clearly we've had great examples all morning about how so many of our staff have found that great work.
Isn't that great? So thanks everybody also for participating in Slido. That's been fun. It's been fun to watch you
great. Love it.
respond to all your questions. And I think with that, we're going to sign off and say thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of this week. Bye for now.
Say my name, you know who I am.